44-year-old Alita Bean is behind bars for fatally shooting the father of her 3 children during a dispute over keys. At 10:09 p.m. on Tuesday the 21st of May, authorities responded to a residence at 3319 Ardmore Street in Memphis, Tennessee, and reports of shots fired. When police arrived, there were 3 juveniles standing outside the premises who told them their mother had shot their father. When officers entered the home, they found Alita intoxicated in the kitchen and her husband Terrence Bean deceased laying face down on the ground with a gunshot wound to his chest. 3 spent shell casings were found nearby. Alita told officers that she and her husband were fighting over the gun, and the gun went off. Her daughter, though, told investigators that her parents were arguing over keys, and at one point her mother grabbed a knife and tried to stab her father in the kitchen. The argument moved into the bedroom and then back to the kitchen. The fight escalated to Alita being on the ground and the victim without pants on. The juvenile said her mother asked her to get a gun, but her father got the gun, gave it to her mother, and told her to shoot him when she fired the weapon 3 times. Police said that Terrence was shot in the lower part of his chest, and he had a deep cut to the right middle finger and a cut to his left forearm. Investigators said they recovered a large knife in the trash can and a 9mm handgun from a bedroom. Alita was arrested after being treated at the hospital for shoulder pain. She was booked into the Shelby County Jail and charged with second-degree murder. A neighbour said it's painful to hear that someone been on drugs or doped up or smoking or whatever and drinking. That's when I feel like opens the door to crime, you know. People don't think about having a gun being drunk. You kill somebody, the neighbour said. The investigation into the matter continues. 30-year-old Timothy Gibbons Jr. is behind bars for fatally shooting family friend 63-year-old Alan Howard. At just after 12:30 p.m. on Thursday the 23rd of May, authorities responded to a residential property at 155 Fane Street in Nashville, Tennessee, and reports of a man shot. Authorities said that Timothy was on scene when officers arrived and told them he had shot Alan. Authorities said that the 2 men were arguing in a car when it escalated and one of the men drew his gun. Upon pulling his gun, it subsequently went off, hitting the other man in the chest. Police said the victim got out of the car and wandered into a neighbouring yard where he later died. According to Timothy, he and Alan had been drinking since the night before. He said a friend of Alan came to the residence around noon and that he and Alan got into the person's vehicle. Timothy said that Alan became aggressive after getting into the car and began striking him with his fists and open hands. Timothy said he pulled out his semi-automatic pistol and was chambering around and had his finger on the trigger and shot Alan in the chest. Timothy got out of the vehicle and told family members to call police. Alan's friend with the car was not at the location when officers arrived. Timothy was arrested and charged with criminal homicide and remains held at the Davidson County Jail on a $75,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. "37-year-old Kelly Yingling remains behind bars after her mother, 67-year-old Peggy Yingling, was found dead, locked in a closet and wrapped in plastic bags. At 2:09 p.m. on Saturday the 18th of May, authorities responded to a residence at 958 West Encore Drive in Hanford, California for a welfare check. The victim's neighbour contacted police and asked them to check on Peggy at her home because she had not seen her in a couple of weeks and this was unlike her. When officers arrived, they entered the premises and found Peggy deceased locked in a closet. Detectives discovered that Peggy had been dead for an extended period of time, and there was evidence to show she had not died of natural causes. Peggy had been wrapped in plastic bags, and an autopsy indicated that she died from strangulation. Detectives learnt that the victim's daughter, Kelly, also lived in the same home. She shared information with investigators that connected her to the killing. Kelly had been in custody at the Kings County Jail since the 7th of May on unrelated warrants. Kings County District Attorney Sarah Hacker said that Kelly has a prior conviction for elder abuse and was on probation at the time of the killing. Kelly remains in custody and is held without bail on a murder charge. She's scheduled to appear in court in July. The investigation into the matter continues. A homicide investigation is underway after an 18-year-old male was fatally shot 2 days before his high school graduation. At 1:27 p.m. on Wednesday the 22nd of May, authorities responded to a residence at 1608 Edwards Avenue in Richmond, Virginia on reports of a person shot. When officers arrived, they entered the premises when a relative of the victim directed officers to Tyshawn White, who was down and unresponsive inside with a gunshot wound. He was unable to be saved and was pronounced dead at the scene. Officers said that Tyshawn was fatally shot by someone who broke into his home. Authorities are seeking video surveillance footage from the area and have not provided any details of a suspect or possible motive in the killing. Tyshawn was due to graduate from Meadowbrook High within 2 days of being shot. Family, friends and former teachers of Tyshawn said he was a kind-hearted and very respectful individual who enjoyed playing basketball and never caused any trouble. Tyshawn's mother, Tony Atkins, said, "My baby wasn't on the street. He wasn't violent. He didn't live by the gun, so why should my baby have to die by one? We were supposed to be celebrating for my baby, but now I have to plan a service," she said. The investigation into the matter continues. A 39-year-old woman is behind bars for abusing a juvenile son and smearing feces all over him. On Saturday the 11th of May, a Department of Children and Families investigator responded to a home at 110 Ronald Road in West Park, Florida, after a report was made to the Florida Abuse Hotline that Tanya Contreras smeared feces on a child. A search of Tanya's phone uncovered a video of her son crying, standing naked in a shower with feces on his chest, face and arms. She told investigators that she was angry at her son for soiling himself and not telling her. She said that she recorded herself smearing feces all over her son as a form of punishment, so he'll learn not to defecate on himself again. She said that she then sent the video to her mother in Venezuela. Tanya was taken into custody, and her son underwent a medical examination at the Nancy J. Cotterman Center. The boy was found with multiple old scars, scratches, marks and bruises throughout his legs and arms. He also had a large bruise on his back and a large round scar on the top of his right wrist, along with a scar on his right leg that he said happened when his mother hit him with a belt. Tanya later admitted to detectives that she physically disciplines her son with a belt when he's disobedient. Tanya described one incident when the child exited a vehicle before her and ran to the front of a grocery store as excessive disobedience, and said she beat him with a belt. She also said she hit him in the head with a cell phone after he broke the screen. Tanya advised that when she was a child she'll be punished harshly and should show up to school with black eyes, and explained to detectives that physical punishment is normal in her home country of Venezuela. Tanya said she believed her son was afraid of her, which is why he didn't tell her he had an accident and defecated on himself. Tanya then admitted that smearing feces all over her son was excessive, and advised that she did it after she became frustrated with him. On Tuesday the 21st of May, Tanya appeared in court on a charge of aggravated child abuse, and she remains held at the Broward County Jail on an immigration hold. It's unclear who currently has custody of the child. The investigation into the matter continues. A 35-year-old woman is behind bars for fatally shooting a 50-year-old man. At 8:46 p.m. on Friday the 17th of May, authorities responded to the 700 block of Dakota Street in Lexington, Kentucky on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man outside with at least 2 gunshot wounds. He was unable to be saved and was pronounced dead at the scene. The victim was identified as 50-year-old Russell Houston, and his death was ruled a homicide. Later that night at 10:41 p.m, 35-year-old Sherry Phillips was arrested near the intersection of Morrison Avenue and North Broadway when she was found in possession of meth and crack cocaine. Investigators said that she had 11.52 grams of the controlled substances in plain view. Police said that Sherry initially caught the officers' attention when she matched the description of the suspect in the shooting. Sherry was initially booked into the Fayette County Detention Center on 2 counts of first-degree trafficking of a controlled substance. On Thursday the 23rd of May, Sherry was additionally charged with murder and possession of a firearm by convicted felon charges and remains held on a $1 million bond. The motive of the killing and the relationship between the suspect and the victim is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A South Carolina couple are behind bars for sex trafficking their 14-year-old daughter to a 67-year-old man. On Thursday the 23rd of May, James Paul Wilson and April Renee Lawrence were charged with human trafficking of a victim under 18. They're being held at the Anderson County Jail without bond. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office said that the investigation began in April. The couple brought their 14-year-old daughter to a 67-year-old man in Greenville County whenever he asked. Further investigation revealed the man would send the parents a text message and $20 via Cash App each time. The parents made more than $1,300 in about a month of trafficking their daughter to the man, equating to at least 65 rapes for the month. Investigators said that the 14-year-old victim and the man she was being trafficked to were known to each other because the girl was dating the man's son. The 14-year-old girl told detectives that she didn't want to go to the man's house anymore, but her father made her. The sheriff's office said that William Berenson has been charged with criminal sexual conduct with a minor for taking advantage of the couple's offer to traffic their daughter. The investigation into the matter continues. A homicide investigation is underway after a 29-year-old man was fatally shot. At 3:27 a.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to the 400 block of Railroad Avenue in Charleston, West Virginia on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found a deceased man later identified as Dimitri Coleman with gunshot wounds. Witnesses told investigators that they were in the area of Fat Daddy's Bar and Grill when an unknown suspect approached the victim from the rear and without provocation grabbed him by the throat and shot him multiple times. The suspect then ran away east into an alley towards Watts Street. As he fled, multiple people fired shots at him. Authorities said that there was no evidence that any of the return shots hit the suspect. The suspect was described as an older black man, wearing a black jacket and black pants. No arrests have been made to date, and the motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. On Saturday the 18th of May, 57-year-old Albert Frand of Glen Burnie, Maryland was arrested and charged with use of communication systems to facilitate certain offences against minors, child solicitation. Albert travelled about 265 miles to Covington, Virginia with the intention of meeting a minor under the age of 15. He planned on taking the minor back to Maryland to become a daughter-wife, which is when a middle-aged or older man is determined to be in a relationship with a considerably younger girl. When Albert arrived in Covington, law enforcement officials took him into custody. He remains held at the Allegheny Regional Jail without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A police officer has been arrested on multiple charges. At just before midnight on Saturday the 18th of May, authorities conducted a traffic stop in the 200 block of North Mallory Street in Hampton, Virginia. Investigators said that Portsmouth police officer Carmen Johnson was speeding past in her 2014 Dodge SUV when she nearly struck a police vehicle that was involved in a separate traffic stop. Detectives assisting with the traffic stop then pursued Carmen, who reached speeds of over 100 miles per hour while driving. After finally pulling Carmen over, she admitted to officers to having one drink along with showing signs of impairment, including having glassy eyes and slurring her speech. After taking a field sobriety test, it was determined that Carmen had a blood alcohol content level of 0.09, just above the state legal limit of 0.08. Additionally, an open container of liquor was discovered thrown in Carmen's back seat. Authorities said that as one officer arrested and escorted Carmen to a patrol car, she began to tense up and pull away from police. Carmen then began to make comments about the officer's race, describing her dislike of white people, and struck the detective with her foot with an intentional kick while placed in the back seat of a police car. Carmen was charged with assault and battery on a law enforcement officer, DUI, reckless driving and failure to yield. Carmen was booked into the Hampton jail in the early morning hours of Sunday the 19th of May. On the morning of Wednesday the 22nd of May, she appeared in the Hampton General District Court just days after posting bail, telling the judge she hired an attorney to represent her. Authorities said that Carmen has been moved into an administrative position within the Portsmouth Police Department, pending an internal investigation. Carmen is due to appear in court again in June. A mother and stepfather are behind bars in connection to the beating death of a teenage boy. Authorities said that on the 8th of May, police and medics responded to their home at 1631 Pine Circle in Long, South Carolina, following an assault on a boy. Medics rushed the teen to the Medical University of South Carolina in a critical condition, with injuries to his head. During the course of the investigation, detectives learned that 40-year-old Ivy Jennett repeatedly hit his stepson, 13-year-old Isaiah Games, in the head with a piece of wood and the butt of a handgun. Isaiah suffered multiple blunt force injuries to the side and back of his head, along with several other injuries that included broken bones, burns, and permanent disfigurement to his face and body. Authorities recovered a bloody piece of wood and a gun, with Isaiah's injuries being consistent with being struck with those items. Isaiah's mother, 34-year-old Samantha Games, is accused of allowing the abuse to happen. Police have not given a motive in the incident. After fighting for his life at the hospital, Isaiah died 3 days later at around 1:30 a.m. on the 11th of May. The coroner said the cause of death was blunt force trauma. Ivy's charged with murder and child abuse, while Samantha's charged with allowing another person to inflict great bodily harm upon a child. They're both held at the J. Reuben Long Detention Center without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 2 caretakers are behind bars after a toddler drowned in a creek. On the afternoon of Monday the 20th of May, deputies responded to a residence along Badger Road in Darlington County, South Carolina on report of a missing 3-year-old girl who had wandered off. Authorities said the child was autistic and non-verbal. After a lengthy search, she was found more than 2 hours later dead in nearby Black Creek. Authorities said the 3-year-old girl was left unattended without proper supervision. Christian Dion James and Nishanti Mikalo were the caretakers for the girl and were responsible for watching her at the time she was reported missing. Authorities said that Christian is the child's uncle and Nishanti is the girl's father's friend. The child's mother, Sabrina Bellin, said that Christian was playing a video game for 45 minutes before realizing that the little girl had wandered away from the home. Christian and Nishanti are charged with homicide by child abuse and were booked into the W. Glenn Campbell Detention Center. On the afternoon of Tuesday the 21st of May during a court hearing, a Darlington County magistrate judge denied the pair bond due to the seriousness of the charges against them. Sabrina was present and cried during the hearing and told the judge the suspects needed to stay in jail. During the hearing, Nishanti lashed out at Sabrina and used profanity against her. Nishanti had to be escorted out of the courtroom and could be heard screaming and yelling behind closed doors. Sabrina told the judge her child's death was preventable and shouldn't have happened. "There's nothing that can explain the pain I'm feeling," Sabrina said. "The only relief that I can get, not even that, for them to stay in jail for life. I don't have sympathy for them because my child was innocent," she said. The investigation into the matter continues. A 42-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting a 34-year-old man at a restaurant. At around 1:30 a.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to Aces on 80 Bar and Grill, located at 3928 US Highway 80 West in Phoenix City, Alabama, and reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found 34-year-old Jacob Sains deceased with a gunshot wound. Investigators quickly identified suspect 42-year-old Jeffrey Aaron Spurlock, also known by the nickname Fruit Loop, as a suspect of the shooting. While detectives were processing the scene, officers from the Patrol Division spotted Jeffrey's vehicle travelling west on US Highway 80. A coordinated effort led to a felony traffic stop, and officers took Jeffrey into custody without incident. Jeffrey was booked into the Russell County Jail on a capital murder charge. Authorities said that Jeffrey had been in previous legal trouble and was known to police. Jeffrey has previously pled guilty to a series of offences, including drug and felony firearm charges spanning more than 2 decades, and had spent time in and out of prison. The motive of the killing and the relationship between the victim and the suspect are unclear. Detectives continue to interview witnesses to piece together the events leading up to the shooting. The Phoenix City Police Department urges anyone with information related to this incident to come forward. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are searching for a suspect accused of shooting and killing a pregnant woman and a teenage boy. Nicole Cunningham Jr., also known as Nico, is a former long-term boyfriend of 32-year-old Precious Taste and the father of her 4-year-old twins. He's also believed to be the father of the child she was 4 months pregnant with. The shooting occurred shortly before 6:20 a.m. on Wednesday the 22nd of May at a house at 1435 Shaftesbury Road in Dayton, Ohio. Police said that Nico came to the home twice that morning. The first time he and Precious argued. He left and allegedly came back with a handgun at around 6 a.m. Police said that he broke in through the side window and immediately shot 16-year-old Deontay Johnson, who's a family friend. He then went and shot Precious with their shared children inside the home. Nico then left the premises in a white Chevy Malibu, which was later recovered in Trotwood. Nico has a lengthy criminal history with former charges of felony assault, child endangering, abduction, and weapons violations. He was already on probation for stabbing Precious in 2022. Police said that Nico remains on the run, and anyone with information to his whereabouts are urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The motive of the killing remains unclear as the investigation into the matter continues. 30-year-old Cody Lane Marshall was behind bars after leaving his 2-year-old child in a car while going to gamble. On Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to a call outside Mimi's at 2837 Mountaineer Boulevard in Charleston, West Virginia, on reports of an infant being left in a vehicle in 81-degree Fahrenheit heat in a parking lot. Authorities said that the vehicle was unlocked and running approximately 90 to 100 feet from the establishment's doors out of sight of Cody while he gambled for 15 to 20 minutes before police were notified. Cody was arrested and charged with child neglect charges. He's held at the South Central Regional Jail on a $10,000 bond while awaiting trial. The investigation into the matter continues. A homicide investigation is underway after a 30-year-old man was fatally shot. At 4:03 a.m. on Sunday, the 26th of May, authorities responded to the 1800 block of West Fortune Road in Salt Lake City, Utah, and multiple reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man lying in an industrial business parking lot with a gunshot wound. Medics attempted life-saving measures, but he was unable to be revived and was pronounced dead at the scene. The victim was later identified as 30-year-old Nico Christopher Patino. Authorities said it's believed that the shooting was prompted by a fight that took place in the parking lot of an after-party in the area, which may be gang-related. Detectives believe several witnesses who were taking photos and videos of the fight left the area immediately after the shooting, out of fear for their own lives. Police are asking those individuals to come forward to assist in solving this case. The investigation into the matter continues. A man fatally shot his girlfriend and then took his own life after an argument over money and their two young children. At 10:11 a.m. on Monday, the 27th of May, authorities responded to an apartment at 1921 Avenue I in Brooklyn, New York to find 35-year-old Teddy Knight and 27-year-old Tunisia Blockwood unresponsive in the kitchen with gunshot wounds to their heads. Medics pronounced them both dead at the scene. Teddy's mother, 65-year-old Norma Knight, who lived with the couple, witnessed the shooting and called 911. She said that last night she was not sleeping and heard them quarreling in their bedroom. Then in the morning she got up and heard them arguing, and she got out of the bedroom and saw Tunisia pushing clothes inside a laundry bag. She said that Teddy then pulled Tunisia into the bathroom, where they continued cussing and fighting. Teddy then left the room, grabbed a gun from a cupboard and returned to shoot Tunisia twice. Tunisia fell to the ground, and Teddy started stomping on her face, before shooting himself in plain view of his mother. Norma said that the couple had long been dealing with personal struggles. They had a problem for a long time over children and the rent and money and everything, she said. It boiled over. Norma was transported to an area hospital for observation after the incident. Also inside the apartment were the couple's young children, a 2-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl, who were quickly removed. Tunisia's aunt, whose name remains anonymous, said her niece adored her children. She had just finished up nursing school and was working at a hospital while completing a degree. She was a beautiful person. She wasn't the type to argue. She was quiet. She described Teddy as a demanding boyfriend. He was very quiet, the woman recalled. He wanted things to go his way, and she's an educated woman. The aunt said that Tunisia began standing up to Teddy and had plans to take their children and move to an apartment she had secured. She had the key and everything, she said. She was going to take the kids and go next week. I think that was a problem. He didn't want her to get away. Teddy was Tunisia's first and only boyfriend. The couple had been together for 8 years. He wasn't the type of person she should have been with. She never made trouble for anyone. She worked, she went to school, and she took care of the kids. She's crazy about her 2 kids, she added. Everyone's shocked. She was a very special person, she said. A homicide investigation is underway after a 5-year-old girl was fatally shot. At around 3:30 a.m. on Sunday, the 26th of May, a group of people were standing outside near the intersection of South Campbell Avenue and West Jackson Boulevard in Chicago, Illinois, when shots were fired. Investigators said that Rain Ware was sitting in a parked car when she was struck by gunfire. She was hit in the stomach and was transported to the Stroger Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Her 24-year-old father was standing outside and was shot twice in the left thigh. He was also taken to Stroger Hospital and is listed in a good condition. Police said that nearly 60 shell casings of 4 different calibers were found at the scene where a black Jeep Cherokee had pulled up, and a group of men hopped out of the vehicle. They then shot at the group of people standing outside in what appeared to be an ambush attack. Investigators also believe that others may have fired shots from a nearby alleyway. No arrests have been made to date, and no other injuries have been reported, as the investigation into the matter continues. A 26-year-old man is behind bars for intentionally burning down a trailer, killing his 70-year-old stepmother inside because his mother refused to sell the lot. At around 9 p.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to a structure fire at 11 Addington Court in Rome, Georgia, after a caller said a woman was trapped inside a trailer on the property. Police said there were flames coming out of the roof and around the front door and the back door, preventing them from entering. 55-year-old Edward Larry and his 26-year-old son Timothy Edward Larry and their 30-year-old neighbour Quentin Patrick Ely were outside the trailer when police arrived. Edward, who lived in the trailer, told officers while pointing to his son, "He set the fire and my wife's inside. I want him to go to jail." Police then asked Timothy if he set fire to the trailer, and he responded, "Yeah, I did." He was then arrested by police. Edward told police his son had been mad all day and working his way into a rage. He said that his son's mother owned the lot and had been renting it to himself and his now deceased wife Sarah Lynn Larry. He said his son suggested that his mother sell the lot and give him the money from it. Timothy told his father and stepmother he was going to burn the trailer down while they were at work. Edward told police his son lit a bunch of papers on fire and threw them onto the mattress in his room while they were inside, and the fire quickly spread. Edward said he believed his wife was right behind him when he ran out of the trailer, but he realised she was still inside once he made it out. He said he believes she ran back inside in an attempt to rescue their cat and 2 dogs. Firefighters located the bodies of the woman and 3 pets inside the home. The neighbour said he saw the flames and attempted to help Sarah out of the home, and told police he could hear her and Timothy arguing for the hour prior to the fire. Police found a small torch lighter in Timothy's pocket and a small amount of marijuana. Officers also found 2 other cigarette lighters, one on a lawn chair on the front porch and another in the grass in the front yard. As Timothy was driven away from the scene, police said he looked back at the trailer and said, "Yeah, let him get your ashes." Timothy was charged with felony murder, 3 counts of cruelty to animals, 3 counts of first-degree arson, 2 counts of aggravated assault, neglect to a disabled adult, elderly person or resident. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are investigating the fatal shooting of a woman who was inside a vehicle with an infant. At around 4:05 a.m. on Monday the 27th of May, authorities responded to a shooting call in the 500 block of South Carroll Avenue in Dallas, Texas and found an SUV riddled with bullets. The woman, 23-year-old Takara Reese Wyndham, had been shot several times and died at the hospital. A 5-month-old baby inside the vehicle was hit by shattered glass, but was not shot. It's not clear how badly the child was hurt. Investigators believe the victim knew the person who shot her, but have not released a description of the suspect. No arrests have been made to date, and the motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. 23-year-old Jack Joseph Ball is accused of killing and dismembering his pregnant 30-year-old sister Bethany Ann Israel inside his home. At just after 11 p.m. on Thursday the 23rd of May, Bethany's mother called 911 reporting that her daughter might be dead, after finding a significant amount of blood at Jack's home at 7008 Encina Path in Lakeville, Minnesota. When police arrived, the woman told officers Bethany had gone to the house earlier in the evening to have dinner with her brother, but after not hearing from her she became concerned. The woman said she drove over to check on her daughter and reported seeing Jack leaving the house in a hurry and sped away in his car, and then she found the blood inside the house. Officers entered the residence and discovered a large pool of blood on the kitchen floor, under the sink and on the sink's cabinets, in addition to a bloody saw, hatchet and large bloody knives. Authorities reported finding several dismembered body parts in the home believed to be from Bethany, and located another bloody knife on the living room floor near the staircase. While searching Jack's residence, investigators found several journals, including one in which he wrote about being angry about his sister being pregnant and no longer being innocent. Police put out an alert for Jack's vehicle, which was located shortly about 3 miles away in the 3700 block of 148th Street West in Rosemount. While searching for Jack, a Rosemount resident called 911 after observing a man on their Ring camera placing a body part on their front step. Law enforcement responded to the area and found Jack in the backyard behind a shed of the neighbouring home, and he was taken into custody. Police noted he was covered in blood and appeared to have a self-inflicted knife wound across his throat. He was transported to Regents Hospital for treatment. Law enforcement searched the area and found several body parts in addition to what was recovered on the 911 caller's front step. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office determined Bethany's cause of death as complex homicidal violence, and confirmed Bethany was between 17 and 18 weeks pregnant. On Tuesday the 28th of May, Jack appeared in Dakota County District Court through video conferencing from the hospital. He's charged with second-degree murder with intent and second-degree murder of an unborn child. The judge set his bail at $2 million without conditions, or $1 million with conditions. After Jack is medically cleared, he'll be transferred to the Dakota County Jail. His next court appearance is scheduled for the 10th of June. Bethany is survived by husband Josh Israel. The investigation into the matter continues. A 38-year-old woman is accused of beating and fatally stabbing a 59-year-old man and killing his cat. At 9:21 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of May, authorities responded to a residence at 300 Venus Drive in Greensboro, North Carolina and found 59-year-old Todd Allen Arnold deceased inside with multiple stab wounds to his torso and blunt force trauma to his head. Investigators also located a dead cat inside the home. Upon further investigation, authorities identified 38-year-old Lauren Ashley Fullerton as a primary suspect. Authorities said that Lauren called 911 4 times that night. She told deputies on scene that she'd used fentanyl and went on to say she stabbed Todd to death after a disagreement. She also admitted to killing the victim's cat. Investigators said that the man and his cat had been dead for a couple of days. Deputies said that neighbours reported that they were concerned about Todd and his cat. Lauren was booked into the Guilford County Detention Centre on charges of first-degree murder and felony cruelty to animals. At 2 p.m. on Friday the 31st of May, Lauren appeared at the Guilford County Court where the judge denied her bond. The relationship between Lauren and Todd is unclear as the investigation into the matter continues. A 59-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting his wife on her 60th birthday. At 12:47 p.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, police responded to 820 North Cass Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on reports of a woman shot. When officers arrived, they found 60-year-old Jacqueline Beeson unresponsive in a grey Toyota Corolla with a gunshot wound to her left cheek and an exit wound to the back of her head. Medics arrived and attempted life-saving measures, however she was unable to be saved and was pronounced dead at the scene. Upon further investigation, authorities identified Jacqueline's husband, 59-year-old Timothy Lewis, as a suspect in the shooting. Authorities said that a woman identified as Jacqueline's daughter told police she was on the phone with her mother just before the shooting. She said she could hear her and Timothy arguing in the background. At one point she said she heard her mother say, "Put the gun away," and it's fake. Authorities said that Jacqueline's daughter then heard Timothy say, "There you go," before the phone went silent, and she did not hear a gunshot. Jacqueline's daughter told police she called her mother back numerous times, but received no answer until someone else picked up the phone and said a man just shot the woman in the car. Milwaukee police said that Jacqueline was celebrating her 60th birthday when she was shot in the head by her husband while sitting in the car. A witness told police she was returning home from a job and was parking a car on the west side of Cass Street when she saw a man leaning into the Toyota Corolla across the street from her. The man was pointing a black handgun at the woman inside the car, and she said she could hear the woman say she had recordings of how the man treated her while telling him to get away from the car. The witness said that the man said okay, and then she heard one gunshot. The witness said that the man walked to a white Mercedes-Benz and drove off. The witness then went to the Toyota Corolla and saw the woman slumped over and called 911. Later that day, officers stopped a white Mercedes-Benz which Timothy was driving. He got it and said he had a gun, which the officers recovered. During his arrest, Timothy said he was going to jail for a long time and knew police were looking for him. The next day, Timothy told investigators he had plans with Jacqueline on her birthday, and the two got into an argument. He said he had a concealed carry permit and always had a gun with him. Timothy also told police he got tired of being yelled at, pulled the gun out and just lost it right there. Timothy said he shot her one time and thinks he shot her in the jaw. He said he's the only one who did it, and no one else did it. Timothy's charged with reckless homicide with the use of a dangerous weapon, and he's held at the Milwaukee County Jail with bail set at $750,000. A 34-year-old man is behind bars and is accused of throwing a toddler and killing a dog. At 10:57 p.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to an apartment at Evergreen Manors in Altoona, Pennsylvania on report of a man assaulting an 18-month-old boy. A witness told police she saw 34-year-old Brian Gracia holding the child and smacking him repeatedly. She said she could see in the window because the blinds were pulled up, and reported that Brian struck the child multiple times before throwing the child into a pack and play. The witness said she went to the window and yelled at Brian, telling him to stop hurting the child. At that point, Brian left the room and re-entered the room with the child's mother, who picked up the baby and kept him away from Brian, stating stop hitting the baby. A security guard at the housing complex told police Brian and the child's mother came out of the home and sat down on the sidewalk with Brian holding the lifeless dog and the baby still crying inside the home. Police said that the child had red marks on his cheek, back as well as 2 partial finger marks on his forehead. The child was transported to a local hospital for treatment to his injuries. In an interview with police, Brian said that the boy often hits the dog and he smacked the child to reprimand him. He said that the dog and the child often played in the pack and play together, and claimed to have placed the child on top of the dog by mistake. He said he tried to revive the chihuahua when he found it unresponsive. Police noted that Brian was still holding the dog's body while talking with officers. During the course of the investigation, it was determined that when Brian threw the child into the pack and play, it was done with enough force that the victim was thrown onto the small dog, killing it. Brian was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, endangering the welfare of a child, recklessly endangering another person, simple assault, cruelty to animals and harassment. He's held at the Blair County Prison on a $25,000 cash-only bond. The investigation into the matter continues. Two women are behind bars for assaulting and robbing a 39-year-old trucker while he slept in a tractor trailer. At around 2 a.m. on Saturday the 25th of May, authorities responded to 2124 Half North Broadwell Avenue in Grand Island, Nebraska to investigate the report of a robbery. When police arrived, the victim told officers that he was sleeping in a tractor trailer behind 208 West 5th Street when 4 people entered the trailer and held him down and assaulted him. Authorities said that 26-year-old Latifah Root and 24-year-old Sierra Lovejoy, along with 2 men, stole the 39-year-old man's phone, worth $300, and a wallet containing debit cards and $25 cash. At around 11:55 p.m. on Sunday the 26th of May, officers made contact with Latifah and Sierra near 3rd and Eddy Streets and were taken into custody. While speaking with Latifah, she mentioned details of the robbery and later admitted to being involved in a physical altercation with the victim. She said that during the altercation, she held the victim down to avoid being struck, but stated during this time Sierra and another man took the victim's phone. Latifah denied being involved in taking any items from the trailer. Sierra admitted to investigators to being with Latifah during this incident, but denied ever entering the trailer. She said that Latifah told her after she exited the trailer that she had taken the victim's phone. Both women were booked into the Hall County Jail and charged with robbery. Their bonds were set at $50,000 each. Investigators are still looking for the 2 male suspects. Captain Dean Elliott of the Grand Island Police Department said they have the name of one of the men and the nickname of the other, but said they believe they know who that person is as well. Authorities said that the stolen property has not been recovered. The investigation into the matter continues. A 34-year-old Ohio man is accused of using a cattle prod to discipline his children. Erie County Sheriff Paul Sigsworth said the investigation began after one of the children reported the incident at school. On Friday the 17th of May, a grand jury indicted Robert Borres on 3 counts of domestic violence and 3 counts of endangering children after subjecting his 3 children to cruel and excessive corporal punishments between the 1st of February and the 12th of March. Prosecutors said that Robert used corporal punishments such as restraining his 3 children aged 7, 8 and 10 in a cruel manner for a long period of time, which resulted in discipline that was excessive under the circumstances and created a substantial risk of physical harm. On the night of the 13th of March, Robert was arrested at his home in the area of Edison Highway in Florence Township, Ohio, after using the cattle prod on his children. Robert was released from jail after posting a $90,000 bond. He was ordered to not have contact with the victims, and he was not allowed to consume alcoholic beverages, possess any firearms, and must wear a GPS monitor. Sheriff Sigsworth said the cattle prod was taken as evidence from the home. He said this device is probably a pole 3 feet long with 2 probes on either end. It has a button, and when you push the button, it delivers a shot between the 2 probes. Robert did make some admissions to using that instrument to discipline his children. He added, "It's terrible. I don't know what would compel someone to think they could use a device like this with kids. I'm kind of bewildered, really, that someone would think that this would be appropriate," he said. He said that Robert does not have any cattle on his property, just ducks and chickens. Robert has previously been arrested 4 times for domestic violence and was also charged with endangering children back in June of 2021. Sheriff Sigsworth said that the children are okay and are being cared for by a relative. The investigation into the matter continues.